Alright, so now we've got the scope so that it will move. The offset's controlling it. Every joint is under the control of the IK. The IK blend is 1 throughout the entire 315 frames. Okay. So now what I want to do is get control to the joints. I want to take control away from the IK. So what I'm going to do is let's look real quick at the graph editor, and you can see that's what my offset looks like. Okay. So I'm going to go to the keyframe 102, and I'm going to move by going to the arrow with the white line 1 frame forward, and I'm going to say, I'm going to go down to my IK, FK things, and I'm going to disable that solver, and I'm then going to go back to that same place and say set IK, FK key. I'm going to go to the next keyframe and then go back to 1 frame previous and say at 159 I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the key. I want to make sure it's disabled. Let's see. It is. So I can say set the key there. Now if I go forward 1 frame to 160, see what's happened is it turned that off. 160 should be enabled. Back on, number 1. Let's set it. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the next 208. That's at 1. I'm going to set that okay. Make sure it's set. Then I'm going to go 1 frame forward and disable and set a keyframe there. And then I'm going to go to the next keyframe. It's at 0. I want that keyframe to be enabled, and I'm going to set it. And then I'm going to go 1 previous to it, 1 frame previous to it, and I'm going to disable the keyframe and set it. Okay. Then I'm going to go to this last keyframe, 314. I'm going to make sure that one is also enabled and set. Okay, so what should happen here is I should start at 1 and play through. And I'm not moving up. I'm going out now. And I'm going out there. So let's see what happened at 1. Frame 1. It's not set. Notice it's pink. So let's make sure. Okay, now that seems to have fixed it. Let's see if it works. Oops, sorry. Okay, everything worked, but that beginning looks a little odd, right? The thing comes floating in there. Let's see if we can find out what's going on there. Okay, we've got some movement here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything. This is the IK handle. I'm in the graph editor, and I'm going to select with the shift key all the attributes. I'm going to go under edit, delete by type, and I'm deleting the static channels. Okay, so my offset I want, my IK blend I want. Okay, now this is where part of the problem is. See right here, it's not seeing the IK blend at 1, but it's not holding that 1 value. Okay, so let's go and see what's going on here. 102, what's the frame before it? So here's 102. The blend is set to 0. What does it go to the next one? 103. It stays at 0. Okay, so let's go back to 102 and see if we say enable that and set key. Okay, now let's look at the blend. Okay, blend 102 enabled. There we go. Key set. Alright, now you see how the graph editor is now showing us value of 1 changes in just 1 frame to 0, holds 0, back to 1, holds 1, back to 0 in just 1 frame, hold 0, back to 1. So that should fix part of our problem. Let's see if that does. Okay, so now the software understands when the IK is in control and when the IK is disabled and the joints are in control. So now we can take advantage of that. So let's go 102, 103. We want to make sure we're on the place where it's 0. You can set that if you'd like. Okay, and let's go get the rig. So I want the joints at the end. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and select joint 30 through 39. I'm going to turn my joints on. You can see those are the white ones, okay? And I'm on frame 103 where the IK blend is 0. And without doing anything, I'm just going to grab these translation and rotation and say key selected. Now, theoretically, the only thing I should animate is the rotation. Everything else should stay. The translation, I should never move a joint once it's been set as a rig. Alright, now I'm going to go to the end here, 159, and I'm going to say key again. So again, nothing's going to look different to you, but if I go to the middle now and get the rotate tool, I should be able to move this, okay, at that position, halfway. Now notice, see how the translate didn't change, but the rotate did. Okay. I'm going to come back. If I want to make the scope come up a little bit, look like it's, sorry. I want to make the scope point up a little bit, like it's pointing the light right at the camera. Add what we call a little appeal. I can key that. And then because I've set that frame at the end, it should return to that original position. So let's see. So we've got come down, inspect, lift up a little bit, and come back. Then at frame 160, the IK takes control, scope is retracted, and now we have another opportunity to animate its movement again. So at 209, double check. My gastroscope should be 0. Let's set that. Okay. I'm going to go get my time I'm not going to take quite so many joints because I'm only going to go from 34 to 39. I just need that distal end. Okay, so again, at that very first frame where the FK is in control, the joints are in control, I'm going to key it. I'm going to go to the last frame where the FK is in control, key it again, go to the middle, and rotate this group of joints and maybe put them down a little bit. Okay, like that. Key it. And then it should come back and then come back out. So let's see what we get. Come in, inspect, and then leave. Okay, so let's make sure we save this. Stop. So we'll call the scope blend IK FK. All right, so now one more time. So let's look real quick at our, let's just go for these joints that we animated here, 30 through 39. Let's see what that looks like in the graph editor. That's going to look pretty intense. Okay. Notice how they're all static, and then there's where the changes are. Okay. And every value is possible here. Now we only do translate and rotate, so we shouldn't need the preferred angle or any of these other things. So let's see what happens if we say delete by type static channels, meaning any channel that didn't have any value change. Didn't get rid of much. Okay. All right, so that's how that looks. Okay. Now, if I could, what I'd like to do, hopefully this will help explain this a little better. I'm going to hold down the shift key and get the IK. All right. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to hold down the command key and just get the IK handle. Let's see if it adds that to this. Okay. There I am at the bottom. And then I'm going to hold down see if I can get it to say frame all. No, won't let me do it. All right. Now, see, I still got this thing going on with the, for some reason, this translate Y and Z keep coming in. I don't think they shouldn't be there because that's on the IK handle. Let's just see if there's a problem that's evolved. All right, it plays okay, but these two values here should not be on my scope, on my IK. So I'm going to delete them. And let's see if it still plays okay. Okay, so if you run into a problem where things are floating, double check that the IK handle doesn't have any other other values being animated besides the offset and the blend, and they should look like this. So when the blend is at 1, meaning the IK is in control, the offset should be changing. When the blend is at 0, so that the joints are control, the offset should be static. And if we could somehow superimpose, I wish I could superimpose one of these joints in here. There you go. So I only have one joint, but you can see the joint movement is so dramatic that the blend change is very subtle, you know, the amount, because we're only going from 0 to 1. But you can see here's where that blend change occurs, and then here's where the joint is actually moving. You can see the arc there, or the curve indicating the change. Here's again where the joint, let's take off the offset for a second. And now you can see just the blend. Okay. And you can see it's hard to see again because the blend is only 1 from 0 to 1, whereas the change in the joint rotation is quite significant. But you can see basically that's where my blend is at 1. Now it's at 0, and then you can see how only in those areas do you see the change in the rotation of the joint. Okay? Alright, so that's the end of that lesson. Hopefully that will make it work better for you. Good luck and stay healthy.